With so many options for chocolate cake mix out there, where's a home baker to start? We did the legwork for you. From the decadent chocolate cakes to those that fall a little flat, these are some of the most popular chocolate cake mixes on the market today, all ranked. If you want a chocolate cake that doesn't even really taste like chocolate, which you probably don't, then this is the mix for you. Based on flavor and texture, this German chocolate cake mix is earning the worst spot. But that doesn't mean that German chocolate cake itself has less flavor than other cakes. German chocolate is typically a mild dark chocolate that's on the sweeter side, but it's still usually packed with flavor. This cake mix is the opposite of that. From the beginning, the mix is incredibly pale in color, developing into a light batter once the eggs, oil, and water are mixed in. After baking, a light-colored cake comes out of the oven. And it's underwhelming. The texture is wonderfully moist and fluffy, which is lovely. But without the final cake even really tasting like chocolate, it hardly deserves any other spot on this list. This mix is only worth it if you actually have to be on a gluten-free diet and you're required to only consume chocolate cake without gluten. Pouring the mix into a mixing bowl, it has the strangest smell. The mix is a fine, gritty powder that creates a just as gritty batter, and the batter only has a hint of chocolate flavor, with surprising notes of raspberry coming through. When it's baked, it's as dry as can be, even with the eggs and oil used to add moisture. The finished cake crumbles in your hand, carrying on the terrible texture observed in the batter. It has a decent flavor, but it's not overly chocolatey. The flavor certainly isn't good enough to make up for the texture. For those without any dietary issues who can eat whatever they want, this is your warning. Skip this option. This cake uses whole grain sorghum flour and rice flour as its replacement for traditional flour. Once you open the bag, you add 2 eggs, a cup and a half of milk, and a whole cup of oil. Cake mixes typically call for a half a cup of oil, so this one is really relying on the oil rather than the eggs to add moisture. It doesn't quite work. The final baked product definitely has a good chocolate flavor if you can get past the flavor of the oil coming through. The texture is moist thanks to all of that oil, but once you put a fork to it, the cake crumbles immediately. It could definitely be a gluten-free chocolate cake mix to grab if you're in a pinch. But overall, it's tough to get over the fact that you're adding in so much oil, which adds 1,900 calories and over 200 grams of fat. Walmart comes through with another perfectly workable great value product with this devil's food flavor. The cake offers up a great texture once baked. It's moist and fluffy, offering an overall nice consistency when you take a bite. It's perfectly smooth with a lovely crumb, but this cake is definitely one that needs a bit of frosting to help its flavor along. You get a bit of chocolate coming through, but overall it falls flat on the chocolate flavor. And with cocoa, along with natural and artificial flavors on the label, it does make you wonder what's flavoring this mix and why the chocolate isn't shining through. Considering you can pick this box of mix up for less than $1 at most Walmarts, it definitely can curb a chocolate cake craving in a pinch. But if you're looking for great flavor, consider paying a little more.
We splurge a bit, spend a little money we can afford to.
Pillsbury is a favorite go-to for many bakers when it comes to cake mixes, but the devil's food isn't quite up to the brand's typical standard. The mix tricks you right out of the box, as it has the most wonderful smell coming out of the bag. It makes you think it'll be a deliciously deep-flavored chocolate cake, but in the end, it all falls flat. Once baked, the super fluffy and smooth batter turns into the most delightful texture with an incredibly light crumb, but the flavor doesn't do this mix any justice. For devil's food, there's barely any chocolate flavor, and that's definitely not something you can just give up on when it comes to finding the best chocolate cake mix. It seems like something is just missing from chocolate cake mixes that claim to be devil's food. For this one, right off the bat, you get the scent of artificial chocolate when you open the bag. The mix does contain cocoa along with artificial flavor, but it's also surprising to see carob powder listed on the label. Perhaps the mixture of the three, rather than just good old-fashioned cocoa powder, is what seems concerning here. Once you add your eggs, oil, and water, the batter seems super dark and rich. Unfortunately, that's not the same cake that pops out of the oven when all is said and done. Sure, the cake is moist and fluffy thanks to those eggs, but the chocolate flavor is barely there. It's almost as if all the water completely diluted the flavor of the mix along the way. From the beginning of mixing this batter, it seems a bit off because of how much water you add. Typically, cake mixes add half a cup of water, but this mixture calls for 1 1/4 cups water, along with 3 eggs and half a cup of oil. Adding so much liquid into the mixture creates a super light and thin batter. But with surprise mini chocolate chips in the mix and fantastic aromas of cocoa, there's still hope for it to come out perfectly delicious. Luckily, it will turn out pretty good. The flavor of this cake is truly a nice chocolate and is paired with an incredibly moist texture. But if you're going into this thinking you're getting triple the chocolate fudge, wouldn't you think that means triple the flavor? It's a great chocolate cake mix, but it certainly doesn't pack enough of a punch to live up to its name. For people with celiac disease, a gluten-free diet is a necessity, because the protein that's found in grains such as rye, wheat, and barley can cause issues with nutritional absorption that can sometimes be severe. And since most cakes use wheat flour, a delicious chocolate cake might be out of the picture, but not with this mix. King Arthur has come up with a great mix for those who have to cut out gluten, using rice flour and tapioca starch. The final big product offers a great texture, just like a rich, moist chocolate cake. And that's probably all thanks to the 4 eggs called for on the box. We do wish there was a hint more of chocolate flavor to really drive this option home, but overall, it's a great choice for those who need gluten-free cake. If you're looking for a simple chocolate cake mix at the grocery store, this mix might just be as basic as it gets. There aren't any grandiose labeling notes, like triple chocolate fudge or double fudge. It doesn't claim to be anything it's not, it's just that cute little Pillsbury doughboy and a chocolate cake. And that's what you get with this mix. Once you add in the water, oil, and 3 eggs that the box calls for, you end up with a supremely moist cake. It's rich, light, and fluffy, all characteristics a good chocolate cake should have. And the flavor doesn't miss the mark either. With this mix, you're not expecting anything too over the top. You're just expecting a nice, balanced chocolate cake that can be paired with a delicious frosting. And the doughboy delivers. This is a solid choice if you're hoping to whip up a chocolate cake to impress all of your friends. They don't need to know it was from a box, right? Once you dress it up and present it, you won't even care it was $1 more than the other options on the shelf. This mix smells like chocolate heaven right out of the bag. Once the fine powder is poured into a bowl and paired with 2 eggs, oil, and water, the texture seems a bit gritty, but it comes out as the loveliest chocolate cake. It's totally moist, gooey, and presents a perfectly fluffy crumb. The flavor is incredible, but given the name double chocolate, we do wish the flavor were a bit stronger. The surprise chocolate chips in the mix certainly help to up the chocolate ante, but it's not as incredibly chocolatey as the words double chocolate on the box indicate. And if you're baking a larger cake, you'll probably need more than 1 box. 1 box of this mix will produce a beautiful 9-inch square or round cake. But if you're looking for multiple layers, you need more. This just might be the most surprising box of cake mix on the market. From the moment you open the bag, the chocolate cake mix has a bit of a funky smell to it, but don't let it put you off. Putting together this cake mix is a bit different than the process you'd expect, where all you do is add eggs and oil. For this mix, water and eggs add moisture, but butter replaces the typical oil. Whipping the mix with softened butter, water, and eggs creates a dark, thick mixture that resembles brownie batter more than it does cake mix. But just wait for it. It comes out perfectly in the end. The finished cake is the most incredibly moist treat. And we're not just saying that it's moist for a gluten-free cake. It's legitimately moist, fluffy, gooey, and has the most delightful crumb. Considering it's gluten-free, it's ridiculously impressive. This is definitely another mix that just might surprise you. It comes out of the bag super clumpy and it smells artificial, but kind of in a good way. The color is super light, which definitely presents the question of how chocolatey it really might be. It's certainly not that deep, rich chocolate cake color like you would imagine devil's food to be. But once the eggs, water, and oil are mixed in, the batter is super airy and fluffy. You can just tell the texture is going to be perfectly smooth once it's popped into the oven. After baking, this cake comes out of the oven with the most perfect crumb. It's slightly gooey and deliciously moist. If you wanted, you could even skip the frosting here. We wouldn't, but you do you. Overall, the cake has a good rounded-out chocolate flavor. For devil's food, it's not as jam-packed with rich chocolate flavor as one might expect, but it's still incredibly good. This mix, like other Ghirardelli brand options, is available at a slightly higher price point than other brands, but it's absolutely worth it. Wouldn't you want to pay an extra $1 for a whole cake if you knew it would rock your world? From the get-go, the smell of this mixture is absolutely unbelievable. Pouring it out of the bag into a bowl is an experience itself with its deep, delicious chocolate aromas. And you'll be delighted to find some wonderful surprise chocolate chips in the mix. Adding in water, oil, and only 2 eggs results in the most rich and flavorful batter. You can tell right away that this cake is going to be a good one. And pulling it out of the oven, it doesn't disappoint. It's not a bitter, dark chocolate flavor. Instead, it's a deep, dark flavor with such an incredible chocolate punch in every bite. With a deliciously moist texture, it's just about perfect in every way.
Would you like a piece of chocolate cake?
Okay.
And a glass of milk?
Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more MASH videos about the best stuff to buy at the supermarket are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.